rocket car finally flew.
The Darwin Awards celebrate individuals who meet their demise through astonishingly foolish acts, inadvertently improving the human gene pool. While tragic, these stories also serve as bizarre cautionary tales, showcasing the consequences of poor decisions.
Come on, cut him down. You gotta come down if you can't see. Cut him down.
I've got my other glasses. I can see perfectly, don't worry.
From risky stunts gone wrong to baffling accidents, these accounts highlight the thin line between creativity and catastrophe. Let's delve into 20 of the most absurd and unfortunate ways people have earned this infamous recognition. Steel MacBook Armor 2022. In a baffling display of misplaced ingenuity, a Russian soldier in a war zone decided to replace the ballistic plate in his body armor with a MacBook, believing the sturdy laptop would offer sufficient protection. The soldier reportedly rationalized this decision by pointing to the durability of the device's aluminum casing and its internal components. Unfortunately, he grossly underestimated the stopping power required to shield him from bullets. The circumstances surrounding this incident unfolded during active combat. Whether the soldier lacked access to proper armor or was attempting a hasty field modification remains unclear, but the result was tragically predictable. During an encounter, a bullet pierced the laptop, offering little resistance before striking the soldier fatally. The ill-conceived replacement not only failed to protect him, but also served as a grim reminder of the consequences of poor decision-making under life-threatening conditions. This incident became widely discussed, not only for its shocking nature, but also as a stark illustration of the critical importance of proper equipment in combat zones. While the story prompted some humor on social media about the MacBook's premium build, it also highlighted the perils of substituting untested solutions in high-risk environments. Pastor Sean meets his maker 2022. Pastor Sean, a man of faith known for his confident demeanor, met an untimely end on Lake Seminole when his refusal to wear a life vest turned fatal. The incident occurred during a recreational boating trip where the pastor and several others were enjoying the calm waters.
Mourning the death of their pastor after he drowned in Lake Seminole on Friday when Dr. Sean E. Thomas and a friend got stuck on his capsized boat.
Despite warnings about safety, Pastor Sean chose to forego a life vest, reportedly expressing confidence in his swimming abilities and divine protection. Trouble began when the boat unexpectedly started to founder. As chaos ensued, passengers scrambled to save themselves, but without a life vest, Pastor Sean struggled to stay afloat. Witnesses described frantic attempts to rescue him, with multiple people throwing life preservers and trying to pull him back on board. Tragically, he was unable to hold on and eventually drowned before rescue teams arrived. This incident highlights the all-too-common underestimation of water safety risks. While Pastor Sean's faith and self-confidence were admirable, they proved no match for the harsh reality of open water.
Pastor Thomas, he would have that smile on his face, and he would come out and he would show love and show how much he appreciates the people of God.
The tragedy serves as a reminder of the importance of adhering to basic safety protocols no matter one's skill level or beliefs. Tombstoned footballer 2022 Murad Lamrabata, a former Dutch professional footballer, tragically lost his life while attempting a daring cliff dive during a vacation in Mallorca, Spain. The incident, which was captured on video by his wife, was meant to be a thrilling display of athleticism and adventure, but instead ended in heartbreak. Lamrabat climbed to the top of a 30-meter cliff, preparing to leap into the crystal-clear waters below. As his family watched from a boat, he launched into the air with what appeared to be a carefully timed dive. However, he underestimated the distance to the water and struck the rocky ledge below. The impact was fatal, and rescuers later retrieved his body from the sea. This tragic incident highlights the dangers of extreme stunts, even for those with athletic prowess. Cliff diving, while exhilarating, requires precise calculations of height, trajectory, and landing to avoid catastrophic outcomes. Lamrabat's death is a reminder of the risks associated with adrenaline-fueled activities and the importance of prioritizing safety over spectacle. Death by water bottle. Waterfall, 2022. In a bizarre and tragic incident, a man attempting to burglarize a supermarket met his end in the most unexpected manner. The incident occurred after the store had closed for the night. Security footage revealed the man breaking into the premises and heading toward a towering display of water bottles, presumably to steal one. In his haste, the burglar inadvertently destabilized the stacked display. As he reached for a bottle near the base, the structure began to collapse. Hundreds of bottles fell, striking him and pinning him under their weight. The force of the cascading bottles caused fatal injuries, and he succumbed to his wounds before authorities could arrive. This unusual death underscores the unpredictability of ill-planned actions. While the man likely intended only to steal a drink, his lack of foresight about the precariousness of the display led to a deadly outcome. The incident quickly went viral, with many labeling it a quintessential Darwin Award scenario, removing oneself from the gene pool through sheer recklessness. Molten Man, 2022. In a tragic display of hubris and disregard for safety, a 75-year-old man ventured into an off-limits area at Volcanoes National Park in Hawaii, ignoring clear warnings about the dangers of the molten lava. This area is strictly restricted to visitors due to its unstable terrain and the intense heat generated by the active lava flows. However, the man chose to bypass safety barriers in search of a closer view. Witnesses reported that the man was attempting to peer directly into a lava vent when he lost his footing on the loose volcanic rock. He slipped and fell into the molten lava below. Given the extreme temperatures exceeding 1,200 degrees Celsius, his death was instantaneous. Emergency crews later confirmed that recovery of his remains was impossible due to the intense heat and the nature of the terrain.
We're on an active volcano. Things are always happening. Things are always changing. Here in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, things can change in a day's time.
This tragic incident serves as a grim reminder of the risks involved in disregarding safety regulations, particularly in environments as unforgiving as an active volcano. The National Park Service regularly warns visitors about the dangers of venturing too close to lava flows, yet incidents like this highlight the human tendency to underestimate natural forces. The Car Wash Blues, 2022. In Escondido, California, a man met a tragic and unusual end after exiting his vehicle inside an automatic car wash. The incident occurred when the driver's car became stuck on the wash's tracks. Rather than waiting for assistance or safely remaining in the vehicle, the man chose to exit the car in an attempt to fix the issue himself. As the car wash machinery continued to operate, the moving parts struck the man, causing severe injuries. The combination of powerful rotating brushes, conveyor belts, and automated systems proved to be fatal. Despite emergency responders arriving at the scene, the man succumbed to his injuries.
Listening to the alarm, they came up to investigate and found the male trapped between the machine and the vehicle.
This incident underscores the dangers of interfering with complex mechanical systems. Automatic car washes are designed to operate without human intervention, and their powerful components are not intended to accommodate individuals walking through the equipment. The tragedy sparked discussions about car wash safety protocols and the importance of educating the public about what to do in similar situations. Staying inside the vehicle and calling for assistance are the recommended actions when a car becomes stuck in such facilities. 124 snakes seek less annoying housemate, 2022. David Riston, a 49-year-old Maryland man, lived an unusual and dangerous life, sharing his home with 124 snakes, including several highly venomous species such as cobras and black mambas. While neighbors knew of his passion for reptiles, they were unaware of the scale of his collection until tragedy struck. One day, concerned neighbors called authorities after noticing that Riston hadn't been seen for a while. When police entered the home, they found Riston unresponsive and pronounced him dead at the scene. Surrounding him were countless snake enclosures, some containing deadly species. The initial investigation pointed to a possible snake bite as the cause of death, though it was unclear which snake might have been responsible. Toxicology and forensic tests later confirmed venom in his system consistent with a bite. The sheer number of snakes in Wriston's home raised questions about safety and legality, while some states allow private ownership of exotic animals.
He does have a collection of venomous snakes that are illegal to keep in the state of Maryland. So we're looking into, obviously how he would have acquired that, kept them inside the home.
Proper containment and permits are often required. Standards Wriston reportedly flouted. The conditions in the house were dangerous not only for Wriston, but also for emergency responders and animal control officers who had to secure the snakes following his death. Superman 2021. In a tragically misguided attempt at humor, a US Navy member met his end while attempting a stunt called Supermanning. The prank, inspired by the comic book hero, involved leaping from a helicopter while wearing a makeshift harness designed to create the illusion of flying. However, the stunt went disastrously wrong, leading to the man's untimely death. During a routine training exercise, the Navy member convinced his colleagues to help him rig up a harness made of straps and cords. Ignoring safety protocols, he positioned himself at the helicopter's open door and leapt into the air. Unfortunately, the harness was poorly secured and not designed to handle the force of a human body in free fall. It broke almost immediately, sending the man plummeting to the ground. Witnesses described the scene as shocking and surreal, with the Navy team initially believing it was part of the stunt. Emergency responders were called, but the man had succumbed to his injuries upon impact. The incident sparked discussions about discipline and safety within the military. While pranks and stunts can be commonplace in high-pressure environments as a form of stress relief, this tragedy underscored the need for boundaries and adherence to safety regulations. Pretty fly for a dead guy, 2021. In 2021, a tragic combination of overconfidence and insufficient training led to the death of a young student pilot named Solomon. After completing a few hours of flight training, Solomon decided he was ready to take on the skies alone, purchasing a small aircraft to fuel his dream of becoming a pilot. However, he lacked the certification and experience necessary to safely operate the plane on his own. Excited to test his new purchase, Solomon took off from a small airfield without a qualified instructor. Shortly after takeoff, he lost control of the aircraft due to a combination of poor weather conditions and inadequate understanding of the plane's mechanics. Witnesses reported seeing the aircraft wobble mid-air before nose-diving into a field, where it crashed and burst into flames. Emergency responders arrived on the scene, but Solomon had died on impact. This tragic incident highlights the importance of proper training and adherence to aviation protocols.
A passenger that's still in the plane is going to have to be extracted. Crashed last night. Why didn't we get a call last night?
Flying an aircraft is a complex skill that requires rigorous education and practice to master. While Solomon's ambition and enthusiasm were undeniable, his decision to bypass necessary certifications ultimately cost him his life. Struck speechless, 2021. A heated argument between two drivers turned fatal when they stepped out of their vehicles to confront each other on a busy stretch of Interstate 80. The incident began with a minor collision that escalated into a verbal altercation. Both drivers pulled over but chose to stand in the active traffic lanes to exchange heated words, ignoring the inherent dangers of their surroundings. As the argument intensified, passing vehicles swerved to avoid the stationary cars, but the drivers themselves became tragic targets. Two oncoming vehicles, unable to stop in time, struck and killed both individuals. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic, with traffic backups and multiple near misses before the fatal impact. This preventable tragedy underscores the critical importance of situational awareness and basic safety measures on the road. Highway safety guidelines emphasize the need to move vehicles to the shoulder or a safe area after a collision to avoid endangering lives. Engaging in an argument in the middle of a busy interstate was a reckless choice that put not only the drivers at risk but also other motorists. Rockhound 2021. In 2021, a man tragically lost his life in a preventable accident at Opus 40, a stunning outdoor sculpture park in New York known for its intricate stone pathways and structures. The man, a visitor with a fascination for geology and sculpture, attempted to move a large stone slab on the property to get a better view or create his own miniature arrangement. However, the lack of proper tools or techniques turned this seemingly innocuous activity into a deadly endeavor. Witnesses reported that the man used sheer force to try to shift the heavy slab, which was likely positioned as part of the park's delicate design. As he pushed, the stone became unbalanced and suddenly toppled, pinning him underneath. Despite bystanders' attempts to help, the immense weight of the stone made it impossible to lift without specialized equipment. Emergency responders arrived too late to save him, as the injuries sustained were catastrophic. This tragic event highlights the dangers of tampering with large, immovable objects without adequate equipment or expertise. The intricate layout of Opus 40, while visually stunning, is carefully balanced and not meant to be adjusted. The man's curiosity and ambition, though admirable, led to a reckless decision that cost him his life. Pinnacle of Stupidity 2020. A 2020 tragedy on Japan's iconic Mount Fuji demonstrated the perils of overconfidence in the face of nature's unforgiving conditions. A climber determined to live stream his ascent for social media followers attempted to scale the snow-covered peak in the middle of winter without proper equipment or preparation. The climb, intended as a feat of adventure, instead became a chilling record of a fatal mistake. Equipped with little more than a smartphone, light clothing, and standard hiking gear, the climber began his journey, narrating his progress to his viewers. As he ascended, the conditions worsened, with icy winds and slippery terrain making the climb increasingly perilous. Viewers watching the livestream reportedly expressed concern about the climber's safety, urging him to turn back. However, he pressed on, joking about the difficulties he faced. Disaster struck when the climber slipped on an icy ridge near the summit. The fall was captured live, with the camera cutting off abruptly as he plummeted hundreds of feet. Search and rescue teams later recovered his body frozen and battered at the mountain's base. A slack, robotic effort, 2020. In 2020, a slackliner's ambitious attempt to cross a massive sinkhole ended in tragedy when a lack of safety precautions turned a daring stunt into a fatal fall. The individual and experienced slackliner sought to showcase their skills by setting up a line across the gaping sinkhole, drawing inspiration from similar feats performed by professional highliners under controlled conditions. However, unlike professionals, this adventurer underestimated the importance of preparation and safety equipment. Eyewitnesses reported that the slackliner rigged the line hastily, relying on makeshift anchors that failed to meet safety standards. Worse, they opted not to use a safety harness or tether, confident in their ability to navigate the line unaided. As they stepped onto the slackline, gusts of wind and the natural instability of the environment added to the challenge. Halfway across, they lost their balance and fell into the sinkhole, which was hundreds of feet deep. Rescue teams later recovered the body, but emphasized the futility of survival in such circumstances. The incident highlighted the dangers of attempting extreme sports without the proper precautions, training, or equipment. As buried as the treasure, 2020. Michael Sexton's quest for adventure took a tragic turn in 2020 during his search for a fabled treasure buried in the Rocky Mountains. Sexton was one of many treasure hunters inspired by the enigmatic poem written by Forrest Fenn, a millionaire who claimed to have hidden a chest filled with gold and artifacts somewhere in the Rockies. While the hunt drew thousands of thrill seekers, it also led to several fatalities, including Sexton's. Sexton and a companion embarked on their treasure hunt during the harsh winter months, venturing deep into the rugged wilderness. Despite warnings from authorities about dangerous conditions and a lack of preparation, the pair pressed on, driven by the promise of riches. As temperatures plummeted and heavy snow covered the terrain, the duo became stranded without adequate gear to protect them from the elements. Hypothermia quickly set in, leaving Sexton unable to continue. His companion managed to survive and was rescued by authorities, but Sexton succumbed to the freezing conditions before help could arrive. His body was later recovered by search teams. Pilot Patrick's in-flight shower, 2019. In 2019, a tragic accident involving a pilot named Patrick highlighted the dangers of negligence and overconfidence in aviation. Patrick, an experienced aviator with over 10,000 flight hours, was conducting a routine flight when he noticed aviation fuel leaking into the cockpit. Rather than treating the issue with the seriousness it deserved, Patrick reportedly dismissed it as a minor problem and continued the flight. As the fuel leak worsened, fumes filled the cockpit, creating a volatile situation. Witnesses later stated that Patrick joked about the leak to passengers before attempting to clean the fuel mid-flight with paper towels, a misguided and dangerous action that exacerbated the risk. Tragically, the friction or heat generated in the confined cockpit ignited the fuel vapors, sparking a fire that rapidly engulfed the aircraft. Patrick struggled to regain control, but the flames caused critical damage to the plane's systems. The aircraft crashed into an open field, killing Patrick and injuring several passengers. Investigations revealed that the fuel leak could have been addressed safely if Patrick had followed standard protocols, such as grounding the aircraft immediately upon detecting the issue. Abu Hammam, 2019. In 2019, Abu Hammam, a man well acquainted with firearms, fell victim to a tragic mishap caused by his own carelessness. While at home, Hammam was reportedly cleaning his personal weapon, a task that requires strict adherence to safety procedures. Unfortunately, he failed to ensure the firearm was unloaded before beginning the process. As Hammam handled the weapon, he accidentally pulled the trigger, discharging a bullet directly into his face. The injury was fatal and he died instantly. Neighbors, alarmed by the sound of the gunshot, called emergency services, but nothing could be done to save him. Hammam's death serves as a stark reminder of the importance of firearms safety. Handling weapons without verifying that they are unloaded is a leading cause of accidental shootings worldwide. Experts stress the importance of following basic safety practices, such as clearing the chamber, keeping fingers off the trigger, and pointing the muzzle away from oneself and others. Geocaching out, 2019. In 2019, a treasure hunt turned fatal when a man entered a drainage tunnel to retrieve a hidden geocache during a rainstorm. Geocaching, a popular outdoor activity where participants use GPS to locate hidden containers, often encourages adventurous exploration. However, this quest for discovery can turn deadly when caution is ignored.
$1, a bracelet, figurine, and a logbook.
The geocacher ventured into the tunnel undeterred by the weather. Unbeknownst to him, the heavy rainfall had overwhelmed the drainage system, creating dangerous conditions. As he made his way deeper into the tunnel, a flash flood surged through the area, caused by rainwater rapidly accumulating upstream. The force of the water trapped him inside the tunnel, sweeping him away before he could escape. Rescue teams later found his body miles downstream, underscoring the immense power of the floodwaters. The tragic incident left the geocaching community in shock, prompting calls for greater awareness about safety risks associated with the activity. Lawn Chair Larry, 1982. Larry Walters, affectionately dubbed Lawn Chair Larry, made headlines in 1982 when he attempted a daring and unconventional flight. Walters attached 42 helium-filled weather balloons to a lawn chair, creating a makeshift aircraft. Armed with a pellet gun to control his altitude by popping balloons, Walters' goal was to soar 30 feet above his backyard in Long Beach, California. Instead, he ascended over 16,000 feet. Walters' journey quickly spiraled out of control. Unprepared for the reality of high-altitude flight, he drifted into controlled airspace near Los Angeles International Airport, startling commercial pilots. Panic set in as he realized he had no way to navigate or descend safely.
Larry, cut him down. You gotta come down if you can't see. Cut him down.
I've got my other glasses. I can see perfectly. Don't worry.
Eventually, he used his pellet gun to burst some balloons, causing a slow descent that ended with entangled in power lines, miraculously unhurt. Despite surviving the ordeal, Walters faced a fine from the Federal Aviation Administration for violating airspace regulations. His stunt earned him brief fame, but also underscored the dangers of amateur attempts at aviation. Ferguson 2 Thieves 0, 2001. In 2001, an ill-fated burglary attempt at the home of former Scottish footballer Duncan Ferguson ended in tragedy for one of the perpetrators. Known for his imposing physicality and no-nonsense attitude on the pitch, Ferguson proved equally formidable off the field when two thieves broke into his property in Rufford, England. Ferguson, who was home at the time, confronted the intruders. Using his size and strength, he managed to subdue one of the burglars while the other fled. In the ensuing struggle, the subdued thief collapsed and later died in the hospital. It was reported that the cause of death was a heart attack, likely triggered by the stress of the confrontation. This incident marked the second time Ferguson had dealt with intruders. On a previous occasion, he had fought off burglars without fatal consequences. While his actions were ruled as self-defense, the story reinforced his reputation as someone not to be trifled with, both on and off the field. JATO rocket car, urban legend. The JATO jet-assisted takeoff rocket car is one of the most famous urban legends of the Darwin Awards. The story claims that a man in Arizona attached a surplus JATO rocket to his car in an attempt to create a high-speed vehicle. According to the tale, once the rocket ignited, the car accelerated to an estimated 300 miles per hour, becoming airborne before crashing into a cliffside. The alleged impact left a massive crater, and the driver's remains were said to have been unrecognizable. This story captured the public's imagination, epitomizing human ingenuity mixed with recklessness. It was often cited as the ultimate Darwin Award winner, showcasing the folly of attempting extreme stunts without proper expertise or consideration of the consequences. However, investigations into the story revealed that it was entirely fabricated. No official records of such an incident exist, and attempts to replicate the scenario have consistently proven it implausible. The physics of attaching a JATO rocket to a standard vehicle would result in instability and destruction long before the speeds described in the legend could be reached.